Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I've got my buddy Emmie here. Of course, my name is Brice. This is Emmie. I was laughing with Emmie, and I said this on Aquarius Rising Africa on Monday. As you guys know, I'm in Florida right now, and I'm kind of limited as to where I can film. And I'm filming from the bed. So I kind of look like a Victorian grandmother, like in her deathbed right now. But this is literally the only place I can film, and I do have a bra on, so at least I have a bra on. I have to tell you guys, sometimes the trolls are very annoying, but sometimes they make me laugh. I think I also said this on Aquarius Rising Africa. Someone I filmed with, I had read a comment where somebody said that the person on screen looks like a Victorian ghost child. And so hopefully at least I don't look like a Victorian ghost child.
Oh my God.
So hard at that. I was like, I know that's a troll, but that is, I've never heard somebody like cut someone down by saying they looked like a Victorian ghost child. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
I have to use that because troll, you're a total asshole, but that was funny. I'll give you that one. So anyway, guys, Stephanie could not join us today as I blow my nose because she is she's got a reading, she's got a client. And so it's just Emmie and me today. And I wanted to start this off. We are going to be talking again about shadow work, but it's really important today because I was just telling Emmie that we have over 200 people that I have since emailed a template for the 30-day challenge starting in November. And that is unbelievable. I am so excited. I've gotten a lot of you left me messages as I got up at 3:00 this morning to start sending the emails out to people. And you can still, if you haven't emailed me yet, you have until Monday. So I'm still checking that account so I can continue to send the template away. Once again, as I said before, if you email that actual email, shadowworkchallenge@gmail.com, your name will go into a raffle for the end of the month to potentially win some prizes. But if you don't want to enter the raffle, but you do want to do the challenge, starting on Monday, October 31st, I will be placing every day. The day before, the evening before, I'll place the next day's challenge on my community tab. I sent a copy to Emmie as well, and Stephanie, maybe they can post it on their community tab each day too, just to help you guys keep up with where we are in the challenge. And what I wanted, earlier this week, I was telling Emmie, and Emmie's got some incredible stories to share too, but we talked a lot earlier this week about motivation and discipline. And something I wanted to talk about again is that the idea of discipline, which leads to devotion, which is your sadhana. And something I want to remind people, especially if you're new to exercise, nobody likes exercise. Oh, I think I lost Emmie. Where'd she go? Can you hear me, Emmie? It says you're still here.
I can. I just have a child walking through my office.
Oh, okay. I was like, damn it, powers that be. maybe Emmie is the Victorian ghost child and she just left. So I think a lot of people, especially us in the West, we're very lucky in the Western world because we live moderately very comfortable lives, and that blessing isn't lost on me. But I think sometimes we have this perception of other people that is not true. And I think sometimes we think that when we see a really fit person, that they just must love exercise. Well, as somebody who is a really fit person who's been doing this for 16 years, I'm going to sit here and tell you, I exercise 6 days a week, probably 5 of those days. I don't want to do it. I'm like, ugh. But my discipline, I've gotten to the point of discipline and devotion, of doing it because it needs to be done. So I want you to understand, like, especially when it comes to the cardio portions, which even in yoga, there's little cardio. When the heart rate starts to rise, when the muscles start to burn, don't quit. You're not the only one feeling that. Even my dad used to laugh and say, runners never smile. Yeah, because it's uncomfortable. They're not smiling, it's uncomfortable, so I just wanted to put that out there, that don't, and with that being said, that should be liberating. So when you're doing these exercises and you feel that sensation and your ego saying just stop, know that the 200 other people around the world doing it with you are feeling the same sensation, and I'm feeling the same sensation too. And if you have to pull back a little bit, pull back a little bit, but don't give up. And so, Emmie, I'm going to let you, since you've embarked on the new journey of Ashtanga yoga, so you're heading a whole new direction of pains and aches and new body making, old body breaking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I'm grateful that I am doing the Ashtanga in this stage of my growth and healing process. Because I've had time to learn how to meditate, which there's a lot of misconceptions around meditation. People get very, very frustrated and they give up really quickly because I can't quiet my mind. It's just racing. I can't do it. The goal of meditation is not to quiet your mind. The goal is to observe.
Yes.
So if you've got monkey mind, all of us get monkey mind, even the ones who've done years and years of shadow work and yoga. Everybody gets monkey mind. It's just part of being human. The goal is to observe. Just look at it. Just witness it. Just be there, be present. So because I have that established already, when you're in the thick of it in yoga and you have sweat dripping in your eyes and off your chest and it's tickling you and your muscles are burning and you're shaking and you just don't think that you can hold the pose for one more second, and you're in ego, like, I want to quit. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore. Be the observer. Okay, I'm observing myself saying, I want to quit. I'm observing myself shaking. I can't hold my leg up anymore. It's falling down. I'm observing that. I'm observing that I'm out of breath, that I'm sweating, and that I want to give up and that this hurts. I'm just observing that. Okay, like it's a red ball on the floor. No judgment, no attachment. I'm just watching. I'm just observing. And when you can do the practice from that point of view, I see how it can become a meditative process. I'm still very much in the intellectual phase of learning the flow, learning the sequences. So I'm not quite to that meditative state yet, but I have had periods and moments where I'm just in this other place. And even though it's really difficult and really challenging and it's painful, it's like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's so amazing. It's otherworldly. It's very surreal.
It's like a God moment, and it happens to everyone. That's why with Ashtanga yoga specifically, now in the 30-day challenge, I didn't put much yoga in, but a little bit with the Ashtanga nurse, because you really do need a teacher. Because it's so funny. I mean, there was a comment on the video, the practice I did with you and Stephanie, where you and Stephanie allowed me to film me teaching you. And someone left a comment, and I'm just paraphrasing. I thought this is brilliant, that this person's relatively fit, but they tried it and their ego got an ass kicking because the practice challenged them in ways they never been challenged. Yoga is traditional yoga, proper yoga is going to challenge you in ways that the bar, the kickboxing, the other things aren't going to challenge you in. With that being said, the bar, the kickboxing, everything else can be a model of the yogic practice in theory, and that's what we're using in the challenge. But that's why I did very little yoga in this challenge, because you need a teacher there to help you navigate things. Because with the yoga asana, with the postures, the way that they're created and designed, they're designed to be like a bulldozer and to dig deep within you and deeply pull out real. It's cliche to say, but a lot of spiritual practices will say your body is like an onion. It's layered, like your emotions are layered, but it's true. And with Ashtanga especially, you'll get through the whole primary series 10 years down the road, and you think you've conquered all these demons that you got, and then you get to second series and it goes a little bit deeper, and all of a sudden there they are again. And so the practice is constantly bringing you back to review your wounds. And I'm going to say this, and I hope this makes sense. The ego, so Emmie's right, that ego is that voice saying, oh, just give up. This is painful. This is hard. Well, why does the ego do that? Well, the ego is the part of you that will one day die, right? That ego will one day die with your body. And so that's the part of you that fears death. But that ego is not the real you. Does that make sense? And so that's why it doesn't want you. It's almost like that fear of not existing. It's that fear of not being who you think you are versus who you really are. And so the exercise is that's why I think it's one of the best modalities for anybody, and really any exercise, to really explore themselves. And Emmie's right. And Ram Dass says this all the time. I love the way Ram Dass says that. So let's say you're doing a kickboxing video, or you're doing yoga, or you're doing bar, and all of a sudden you get to a certain pose or a certain place in the exercise where you're triggered, where your ego is going, this is bullshit, I can't do this. Instead of buying into that narrative, observe it and be like, well, that's interesting. As Ram Dass used to say, just look and be like, huh, well, isn't that interesting? That's how I reacted to this particular move. Interesting. And leave it at that. It's interesting, because over time, what's going to happen, and this is why I'm having you journal so much during this process. And Emmie is the Reiki part of this. She can explain deeper. It's and the Saturdays in this challenge are self-study Saturdays. The third Saturday is Reiki. You're going to have to go research some Reiki. And I put a lot of Emmie's videos up for you to watch to start to understand what this subtle body energy actually is. That's really what's triggering a lot of stuff. I forgot where I was going with this. The energy that's moving. When we're journaling, what's going to happen is with the exercises, the body, that's where I was going. The body holds different pockets of information. It's like your body is its own filing cabinet. And so like we have, like, I remember, well, now everything's computerized, but I remember when I was a kid, like my dad would have a desk, and like one filing cabinet was for taxes. Another filing cabinet was our health reports. Another filing cabinets was this or that or business stuff. And your body does the same thing. So like we know the chakras have different, so there's different places where the body's going to take in sensation, take in memory, and store it for you. And so if there's a broken heart, if there's something going on in the Muladhara and something triggers that, so opens that filing cabinet back up and pulls a file out for you to review, that's where the journaling is going to help you sort through this and figure things out about yourself. And I tell my students a lot, in my live students, like in real life, I tell them one of the hardest things about taking on a spiritual practice is realizing the dark stuff about yourself, the times when you're an asshole, that you didn't even realize you were being an asshole because you're projecting your own pain that you didn't even realize was there because the ego doesn't want to touch it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. The ego too. The ego is like, I like to think of it as a program, a computer program. It's software.
Yeah.
And it's designed to gravitate toward pleasure and away from pain. So when you're in the thick of your practice and it's hurting and your muscles are sore and they're shaking and your ligaments feel tight and the tendons are burning. And I mean, I ended up with bruises on my shoulders. I had these weird little cyst-like bumps that came through. They're gone now, but they came through. So the ego says, oh, this doesn't feel good. I don't want to do this anymore. Please stop. So you have to observe that, like Brice said, this is interesting. And if you have an area of your body that is especially weak, or you have a lot of pain and you're going through these asanas and postures, it's important to understand what kinds of pain are okay to proceed with and what kinds you should pull back. Like if you have any kind of really deep-seated pain in your joint, pull back a little bit. If it's muscular or tendon or ligament and it's just burning and hurting, and guys, I have been so sore that I couldn't pick up a glass of water. I've had to go like this to put my mascara on. That's not pain that you back away from. You can still work through that. And I've cried. It hurts so bad. But what that's telling you is that there is something stored in your tissues that you need to work through. So I was journaling, and okay, I'm going to give a little bit of a backstory. So when I was, I don't even know, between 5 and 10, I had a traumatic experience with an irresponsible purchase that my dad had made. He had taken the taxes and insurance money and bought this huge setup with a synthesizer and speakers and all of this stuff. So my mom then had to use bill money to pay the taxes and insurance because we were going to lose our house. They were going to take the house. And so we went without food and electricity for a time. And so because I was in an impressionable age, I equated irresponsible spending with lack of basic human needs. And the shoulders, symbolically and spiritually, can have stuff to do with your parents. And when I was 7 years old, I was involved in an accident. My mom was driving. My sister and I were in the back seat. I was sleeping. She got T-boned. She was turning the corner left at a red light. She got T-boned by someone who ran a red light. We had minor injuries. I had a broken collarbone. I sustained the worst of the injuries. My mom and sister both had cuts that they needed stitches for. So we were very much protected. And shortly after that, around that same time is when that happened with my dad. So that experience and all of that ended up in my shoulders, and I've carried that my entire life. And this is the first time in my healing journey that I have, worked through this area in my physical body. I've done a lot of work on resentments, and that particular correlation between irresponsible spending and going without basic human needs was something that came up in the resentment work that I did with the 12 steps. So this is another layer. And it was just so incredibly profound having this stuff come up and having more insights come through and just seeing the whole picture. There's another thing that came through too. We had a situation this past summer where we had someone staying at our house, and they're not very healthy, and they're in active addiction, and we're engaging in a lot of escapism. And it was very, very stressful for me because I have worked so very hard to come out of codependent relationships. And I didn't want to be in a situation where I was allowing this person to exhibit this behavior in my home. It was so triggering. But the reason why it was so triggering had nothing to do with the person, which is what I thought it had to do with. What it had to do with was my sister. My sister died at the age of 29 from end-stage liver disease from drinking and drugs. She killed herself. And I watched her die in a hospice house. And I was so helpless and powerless over this situation. And I had no idea that the reason why I was so triggered when this person was living with us over the summer had nothing to do with her, had everything to do with my sister. And that did not come out. And I was not able to address that or heal that until doing yoga. Stuff is stored in our bodies. So now, now I can go back and I can work through the ways that I felt powerless and helpless with my sister. I can forgive myself. I can forgive her. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff that will come up. So journaling is really important. Even if nothing specific is coming up, if something is bothering you, just keep writing about it. Automatic writing is really good too. There's another name for it, but I can't think of what it is.
And I'll say on top of that too, like sometimes I tell my students this all the time, like when we think about thoughts that come up, sometimes we automatically want to put a story to that thought. But sometimes the thought that comes up is merely just an emotion, right? So sometimes in this process, you're going to hit a posture or hit a movement. For the bar, it's a lot of the tucking of the pelvis for many people, where all of a sudden you're flooded and inundated with this emotion. It's almost like someone popped the cap off of those silly strings where all of a sudden this emotion just pops up and takes over you and you don't know where it came from. You don't understand why you're feeling the anger or why you're feeling whatever it is you're feeling. And that's okay. Sometimes you will figure out where it came from, especially in the pelvic region of these exercises. I have to talk about this with women a lot. For women, when we get into the pelvic region of Mula Bandha or any type of Upavishta Konasana, stretching open the legs, for women who have been being careful what I say for YouTube, but have been ABUSED in that area, if that makes sense, against their will, RAPE, or simply just touching in that area. A lot of times that will trigger itself and come up. And sometimes I've heard people say it could be a past life experience that's still being held within your energetic, because you have your physical fascia and you have your energetic fascia. And that's okay if that comes up. You have to write about it though. And especially if you don't, and here's the thing, like my trauma therapist used to say this too, like if you never remember, like a lot of times with those types of things for women and men too, the brain will block out the memory. And if the brain has literally blocked out the memory, as my trauma therapist used to say, it's not necessarily important for us to then try to recall it. What's important to do is to work through your emotion, the fear, the anxiety, whatever it is that's still left over, that the story the body might have rejected, but the sensation to survive, the body kept. All right. And so if we think about like sexual stuff, for example, if for some people who are victims of that, maybe they don't have a healthy relationship with their partner when it comes to that. Maybe it's just a trust issue they have with men. And so that's what needs to be healed. Does that make sense? And so that's why the journaling is important too, because it helps you filter through that without necessarily having to go there. Now, luckily for Emmie, she could remember. And some people are going to be able to pinpoint it back to certain things. But if you don't, that's okay too. It's just working through that emotion and understanding. I want to say this too, and Emmie can attest to this because both Emmie and I have been on this journey of self-healing before we knew each other for many, many, many years with different modalities. And I think Emmie can attest to this as well as me. It's not one and done, is it?
Oh, no. Another thing too, I want to add to what you're saying, Brice, is a lot of us who have grown up in abusive families were abused or suffered abuse before we learned how to talk.
Yep.
So when you have things happen to you that is pre-conscious memory or pre-verbal, it's stored in the body just like everything else, but we have no recollection of it. It happened in a time of our life when there's no way that we could communicate back to someone else what's going on. So that's why the journaling is just so important. Like back to the story that I was saying with my sister and the person that was living here this past summer for about 6 weeks. I had worked through resentment that I had against her, and I completely forgiven myself and her for what happened. If I saw her today, I'd give her a big hug. But every time I would think about, I would still be bothered. I'm like, why am I bothered by this? And in writing it down, it was like this epiphany. And I wrote it down probably 8 times. I was writing about this about 8 times. And then all of a sudden it's like, this had nothing to do with her. It had to do with my sister. I was trying to save her. I was trying to save my sister through this other person. And it's amazing. It's amazing what comes up. It is so much more than exercise.
So, and I want to express that too. And I put this in the opening to the challenge. I just sent Emmy the template. What I like to refer to this as intelligent exercise. And I'm not saying that, bodybuilders or sports people aren't intelligently exercising. They're just intelligently exercising in a very different way. I want to express to you guys, and I've said this, I'll say this until I'm blue in the face. I don't give a rat's ass what your yoga practice looks like, what your bar dancing looks like. You're not in competition with anyone. The only reason why we're using exercise is for you to be able to understand what it is your body is trying to tell you. Because when it's intensified, when the body is brought to a point of intense heat and friction, you're not going to be able to escape sensations unless you quit, unless you stop. And so it brings you to a point of total vulnerability to yourself. So I put, at the beginning of the challenge, I have a section where I tell you to take a picture of yourself, optional at the beginning, at the end. I'm not doing this about weight loss. I don't care. I don't want people weighing themselves anyway. Like, I'm not a believer in weighing yourself because I think sometimes the ego can take over, and numbers are just numbers. They're just numbers, but with the picture, what I'm hoping people will see is not just, you're going to see some changes in your body, but I want you to notice your eyes, the changes in your eyes. You had a picture you sent us, Emmie, from before you started your journey. And you see that people look like different people. And it's because, and I said this with Shanti once, and the more you allow your heart to break, the more the light can shine through. So the more you allow yourself to go to that place of vulnerability, the more you're going to feel compassion for yourself.
Yes.
And when you feel that.
And remember, the goal of yoga is to free your mind. Not to have perfect postures or asanas, not to have a perfect flow, not to look like
Cirque du Soleil.
Exactly. The goal of yoga is not that.
No.
It's to free your mind. And today I fell 8 times. 8 times I fell today in my practice. If we would have been recording,
girl, I've FaceTime. He's planted so many times. Like, it's David Grieg used to like come behind me and like, because a lot of times in a lot of these postures where we're supposed to bend our elbows, we lock because of fear of falling. And so, and that's a psychological, that's why that transition is in there to challenge that fear. And in the Mysore room, David Grieg would come by and just push you down so that you would fall. Because sometimes that's what you need, is to fall, so that you realize, oh, if I fall, it's like Marnie Alton says this in her workouts every day, and I love it. And she tells you to touch the earth and feel the earth, and remember that she will always be there to catch you when you fall. And so if we look at that perspective, we always have something to catch us, and we're gonna fall. Trust me, we're gonna fall. The people who have beautiful practices that you don't think that they have. I mean, Mark Roberts put up a video of him falling out of shit. Like, it's just, that's how we learn. If we did not have the friction, we would not have the growth. And it brings us, I use this example with like a seed. When we go to plant, let's say we're going to plant a tree. The tree its roots are rising up to the sun, but first we have to take that seed and bury it deep into the ground. We have to take the seed and go deep into the darkness of the earth for the seed to then grow up through the light. And when you go into an exercise, intelligent exercise to work on yourself, that's what you're doing. You're taking that seed and you're intentionally, controlled demolition, you're intentionally placing yourself in a place of, and there's nothing more vulnerable than exercise for a lot of people. And so you're intentionally taking yourself to a place of vulnerability where the ego has to eventually leave so that you can be honest with yourself. Pain is real. That's when we're honest with ourselves. We're not lying to ourselves anymore. It's, Stephanie and I were talking about this today, and next time when Stephanie will go further into this, a lot of people are very confused by grounding. They think that just going and standing out in the yard for a couple of minutes is grounding. Barefoot, that's really good for you to do on top of everything else. That's not grounding you because it doesn't bring friction. Where's the friction? Go stand in the yard barefoot. Yes, of course. But that shouldn't trump your exercise. I was actually just reading the Hathor material, and they talk about it. You have to exercise. And a lot of these ancient civilizations with these deep spiritual practices had exercise. That's why yoga's so old. Yoga's like over 5,000 years old. They knew this. They knew this about the body. And trust me, guys, back in those days, they weren't trying to look good in a bathing suit. There was no Jenny Craig and Weight Watchers. You know, it was, and it's so funny. I love Richard Simmons. I think Richard Simmons is one of my favorite human beings. I just love him. Like even today when I see him, I get emotional. And on Saturday, Sunday is your Sunday fun day in the challenge. And a lot of it, I have his Sweatin' to the Oldies from the 90s. I did it the other night in the hotel. I did one of his, I was laughing my ass off. It was so fun. And you guys know, most of you guys know who Richard Simmons is. If you don't, look him up. He was born with a foot deformity. He had a foot deformity when he was born. And he gained a bunch of weight. And he took that and he transformed it. That's the alchemist. And so you look at him and what he did, the empire he built. And I was watching a documentary on him and how these, super famous guy and these people would email him when email first came out and explain their situation. And he'd pick the phone up and call them and spend 2 hours on the phone with them because he genuinely cared. And that's what I mean by that compassion, and that when the heart breaks, the light can come in. Obviously, he had to learn to have compassion for himself through his foot issues, through working through that from his food addiction. And so that light came through, and he had that compassion for other people as well. And so that's the beauty. That's why, that's why Michael Jackson's song, Man in the Mirror, if we want to shift this globally, then we got to shift ourselves first. No one's going to do it for you because nobody else is going to be in your body but you. And your wounds, I want to say this too. Your wounds, those dark places, those are sacred. Don't run from them. Those are sacred because that's where you learn what you're really made of. And I think sometimes we do get stuck in that victim mentality and that victim, woe is me. But when we start to work through, and I said this last time, we can only feel powerful until we felt powerless. And something too with the exercise on a very physical level that happens. And that's why we focus more on the physical strength and the flexibility. When your body starts to get physically stronger, something in your psyche flips as well, where you start to feel stronger as a person. And you kind of move from feeling like the victim to the survivor, to the person who beat it. And when you start to realize that transition is happening and you've had the power all along to make that transition and change that perspective, you then go from feeling powerless to feeling powerful in a very healthy way. Does that make sense? Have you experienced that yet, Emmie, where all of a sudden you're starting to feel stronger and perceptions are shifting?
Oh yeah. Yes. I was probably one of the worst victim mindset people walking on this planet. Like I could not find my part. My part was allowing. I allowed it. I had no boundaries. I didn't know what a boundary was. If I had a boundary, I probably wouldn't have enforced it.
Been there. Went through a lot of therapy to figure out how to build that wall.
Yes. So, I mean, even now, I'm still very sore. I have been dedicated to my yoga practice. I think this is the 5th or 6th week in a row where I have been dedicated to it. I'm still very sore. It's getting better. But when I look in the mirror and I can see different areas of my body starting to tone up a little bit more and slim down, it's very, very encouraging. And even lifting boxes or groceries out of the back of the car, you yank something up that used to be really heavy and it's like, oh, I'm stronger. Okay. So
Well, I do yoga. Well, you're lifting in yoga, you're lifting your own body weight a lot. And so you're literally carrying yourself through the practice. Now, I want you to think about that, guys, watching psychologically. When you think you can't support yourself, when you think you're powerless and you're doing, whether it's yoga or a bar, whatever, you literally just carried yourself through the fire. That's a pretty strong person. And what is bravery? Bravery is doing something even when you're shit scared of it. You know, it's the story of Hanuman, the courage. And so if you guys doing the challenge, if you're nervous, I've got a lot of emails, people being very nervous about the exercise, then you're in the perfect place, because that's the courage that's needed. We all, trust me, every time my teacher says, oh, next posture, I'm like, oh, fuck. You know, like you're still like that. No, I'm good. Like, you know, there's still that newness that I fear as well. And I've been doing this for 16 years, but we're constantly in that place of challenging ourselves and constantly seeing what we're made of. And human beings, we're resilient. And I think, I don't know, maybe this is my conspiracy mind, Emmie, but I feel like in the Western world, our controllers created a narrative around exercise so we wouldn't know the true power behind exercise, if you know what I mean. Like they put a spin on it that it's for being sexy and, you know, for bathing suit season, and it's about starving yourself and, you know, being a size 0 and all this kind of stuff. And that was never what exercise was for, ever. You know, it's about moving. What's that saying? A rolling stone gathers no moss. So if we are constantly moving the body and moving the joints, starting with our child, and if children do this, just play with them. Don't make it intense. Just make it a play. You know, see, children will stretch. Animals will kind of move and stretch. But as adults, we become sedentary. And so with that being said, not only does that change our physical fitness level, but it also allows the energy to get stuck and gather that moss and build on itself. But if we get into a habit of exercising every day or most days a week, not only are we keeping ourselves physically healthy, but we're flushing and moving the energy, constantly, because it's never done. The work is never done.
And with flushing too, remember, we store trauma and wounds in our body. And when that comes out, those toxins are felt as pain. And that's another kind of pain that you can feel when you do this practice. And one thing that has been really helpful for me is castor oil massages.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's going to be coming on your Friday. Yes.
Yeah. Get you some, what is it? It's got to be the pure cold pressed.
The darker the oil, the better.
And it make sure it's in a dark jar, not like a plastic container. Like the real good castor oil will be in a dark bottle. And that's, let
me move this over here a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on.
It'll be in a dark bottle, and that's so that the light doesn't break it down. So yeah, castor oil is really thick.
Yeah.
It's really, really thick. So, you know, you're going to be sticky and full of yuckiness, but
it's messy.
It's messy. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have a bathtub. We only have a great big shower in our bathroom. So I just put towels down. And I'll just sit in there.
That's what I do
myself and sit in the bathroom.
So oil baths, it's called oil bathing in India, but you're not literally sitting in a bath, guys. It's just what it's called. And it changed my life. When I learned this practice, it literally changed my life. Now on the challenge, I have you doing this optionally on Friday evenings before your rest day. Okay, because it's going to pull the inflammation out of your body and it's going to knock you out. You're going to sleep for a long time. So basically place towels on the floor of your bathroom, cover your body in castor oil. So you're butt ass naked, cover your body in castor. And castor oil is good for all doshas. That's why I put it You know, if you want to get dosha specific, for me as a vata, I need like almond or sesame seed oil, but castor, I actually prefer castor oil. It's good for all doshas. Sit on the towel and slowly massage the oil into your body. The castor oil is used to pull the heat and inflammation out of your body. Sit with the oil on your body for 10 to 60 minutes. If you're new to oil baths, only sit for 10 to 15 minutes because it will knock you out. After the time is up, take a hot shower to remove the oils and then get into bed. Your nose may run due to the heat removing toxins. You will sleep pretty hard tonight. Let yourself sleep so your body can heal itself. So again, I'm doing this right before your Saturday rest day so that you can allow the castor oil to really work and allow your body to recover and recuperate. But yeah, castor oil, I will warn you, especially if you got white girl hair, I wouldn't put the castor oil in your hair. Now in India, they will, if you have it, you can go and have it done professionally in India, which is a whole another story for another day. Cause man, they just stick their fingers right up your hoo-ha and rub around. And you're like, this is weird, but we're just going to go with it. With the castor oil, but the oil in the hair for girl, it's going to be hard to come out of your hair. So what I do is I just pull my hair back and I massage my face even. Like I'll massage my face, but I try not to get my hair in it. If you can't put coconut oil in your hair, coconut oil isn't good for vatas. I put it in my hair though, because it's just your hair. But yes, castor oil bathing is amazing. And I actually sit sometimes up to 90 minutes in an oil bath or oil on me. And some people get very spiritual with it. They'll like meditate or listen to like sound bowl healing while they do it. Because I do it for so long, I usually watch trashy reality TV shows while I sit in my oil bath. But get really nasty towels, old towels to sit on because it is very, very messy. You can get some soap nut oil to help you get the oil or soap nut powder to get, if the oil is really thick, to get it off of your body. The oil I get in India, I have to use the soap nut powder to get it off because it's so thick. The oil I get here in America, I could just get exfoliating soap to get it off because soap nut powder, if you use soap nut powder, will look like somebody had explosive diarrhea in your bathroom when you're done because it's very thick and it just goes everywhere. So I'm just warning you guys, like if you're in a very new relationship, best not to use soap nut powder. So just warning you. So but yes, and with this, so I'm gonna warn you guys, like the first week of this challenge is pretty basic. You're gonna have a lot of journaling to do, but as you get deeper into the challenge, and part of me wants to tell you guys who got the template, maybe don't look too far ahead because I don't want you to feel overwhelmed because I put the real hard challenges kind of towards the end so that by that time you're getting more autonomy and you're getting your perspective is going to be different than it is in the beginning. Because we do have a lot of journaling to do with betrayal. There's a huge section on betrayal, childhood trauma. My favorite exercise though that I have you guys do, this is my favorite one. It's deeper into the, I think it's day 14. Let me see here. I have you guys find somebody that you really, really admire in your life, your real life, not not like a celebrity, like someone you actually know in your life, that you really admire and that you really, really love. And what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you write a letter to that person. This is part of one of your challenges is to write. Here it is. So you're going to handwrite, not type. It's important that you handwrite because the hand is connected to the heart chakra. You're going to handwrite a letter to the person that you admire, not someone you have a crush on, not someone that you're infatuated with, but someone you admire. And you're going to tell this person the letter how much you admire them, what you love about them, how much you respect them. And you're going to handwrite it. You can sign your name or you can keep it anonymous. You don't have to tell them it's from you. And then you're either going to mail them the letter or you can stick it in their mailbox or put it on their windshield wiper of their car, whatever you want to do, stick it under their door. It might be your roommate for all I know. You can just tape it on the bathroom wall, whatever. Give it to that person. And then after you do that, you're going to come home and journal more. And you're going to, how did you feel writing the letter? So how did you feel expressing that kindness to someone else? How would you feel if you received a letter like that, where someone told you how much they admired you? And then I'm going to ask, did you sign your name or leave it anonymous and why? And then I want you to list all the qualities you admire about that person in your own journal. And I'm going to have you read over those qualities 5 times. So 5 times read over all the qualities. Then have you realized these are actually qualities of yourself?
I knew it.
I get emotional because
I know.
I'm not even doing the exercise, but I get emotional because sometimes I think what happens in the shadow work world is that we get so bogged down on the dark stuff, the real dark stuff. Like we know that if whatever pisses us off about, like Emmie's story, for example, she realized she was projecting her unfinished business with her sister onto another person. And so she realized that that's what that person that came into her life was presenting her with some unhealed wounds. And so we understand that in another case scenario, if there's someone that really drives you crazy, usually that's a quality in yourself that you don't like. But what we fail to realize is the things we love about someone else are actually things we love about ourselves that we're seeing in someone else. And so we need to focus on that. And a lot of this stuff with the hard stuff, I have you write 5 things down that you like about yourself. So we're balancing out the hard work with the good stuff too, and one of the last days, like what Emmie was saying, and I have this at the very last, I think it's day 26, at the very end, getting towards the end of the challenge. I'll read it to you guys. I actually put it in red because this is kind of the whole point too of what Emmie was talking about. We'll go ahead and look at it. Let's see here. I have you go outside today if the weather permits. See if you can sit in nature for at least 15 minutes. This is on your rest day, so you haven't exercised today. While outside, see if you can observe all the stimulation around you. If you're in a city, can you truly listen to all the sounds of the cars, the conversation of those passing by, and the sound of the wind moving between the buildings? If you're in a small town or out in the middle of nowhere, what sounds do you hear? Do you hear the trees moving in the wind? If it's cold, is it cold where you are? Can you breathe into the cold? How does the cold feel on your skin? So recognizing this, instead of saying, oh shit, it's cold, actually feel the sensation of the senses picking up on the cold. Same if it's hot. Can you observe the sensations of your nervous system adapting to the environment? Don't judge it as too cold or too hot, just observe. How does it feel not to judge the sensations? Do you relax more into what is when there is no held judgment as to how you personally feel about it? After the experience is over, journal about it. What did you learn from leaning into what is instead of holding on an opinion of what it should be, depending on your likes and dislikes? And I say this is a huge practice in spiritual awakening. Your opinions are not you. They are just reactions to experiences you've had. Can you fully engage your senses to experience what is being presented to you without holding judgment? So these experiences are things being presented to you. So the friction of the burning muscles is an experience that's being presented to you. Can you observe it without opinion, without judgment? Next step is to apply this theory to your daily workouts. Can you feel the burning sensations of the muscles working, the breath, the heart quickening, the sweat pouring without judging it? When the emotions such as anger, joy, frustration, etc. come up in your workout, can you fully engage in that emotion, experiencing it, learning from it without judging it? And so I'm going to have you do this exercise again at day 26. So you're going to be pretty deep into your challenge by the time you do this exercise. And I put that at the end, close to the end, because you will have had by day 26, you're going to have gone through a roller coaster of emotions and a roller coaster of journaling about betrayal, all this kind of stuff. And so there comes a point of time when you are in this spiritual journey, when your opinions themselves piss you off so much that you're ready to get rid of them. And so that's the whole point of this whole experience, is to allow you are so much more than your body. Your body is the Shakti, it is the expression of your soul, but it's not your soul. It's not your soul. And it says it in a half core material today, like your body, your soul can exist without your body, but your body cannot exist without your soul. And so this body is a beautiful instrument, and it's something that can teach us so much about who we are and who we aren't, so that our soul then feels more complete, and that life. And when you start to really practice this, I mean, looking back on my life, I'll say the last 10 years, I've been doing this for 16 years, but the last 10 years, the way I react to things now are so different than 10 years ago because I see it in a different perspective. even though it still sucks when bad things happen, it still sucks, still cry, still get angry. But it's like, okay, what is being presented to me now? Because nothing is ever final. Death isn't real. It's an illusion. So what is being presented to me? So I'm super excited, you guys. And of course, we only have like one seat left on our yoga course that we're going to be doing. So the yoga course and the 30-day challenge are two different things. Although, Emmie, get this, I have multiple people that are doing both the yoga online intensive and the 30-day challenge.
Awesome.
I'm like, slow clap, you are brave soul. So we have one seat left. So guys, the 30-day challenge, if you're new, the 30-day challenge is totally free. You just email me if you want the template and I'll send it to you. And all you need is your body, which you got, a journal, the internet, and castor oil. If you want to do the oil bath, that's optional anyway. That's all you need. And journaling can literally be you writing on construction paper from your kid's coloring book if you need to. It doesn't have to be fancy. There are going to be times for the challenge where you're going to have to go back and reread some of your journal entries to see. And I don't know, do you do that, Emmie? Do you go back and reread stuff? I do that a lot to see how much I've progressed.
Yeah, I've gone back and read things that I've written, and I'm like, I wrote this. What?
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I'll go back and look at stuff from like even a couple years ago, and as I'm reading it about certain situations, I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot that happened. But in a journal, it's like the end of the world.
Yes.
You know? And so that shows you, it's kind of funny. It shows you how temporary stuff is and that this too shall pass. And so we're going to have a lot of times during the experience where I'm going to ask you to go back and reread certain journal entries so you can see your own evolution. I know a lot of husband and wives that are doing this together.
Awesome.
If you feel like punching your spouse at some point, just know that's projection. And maybe go journal separately, so but that's incredible. It's incredible that people are doing this. And I just want to say too, and Emmie, we can back this up. I want you guys to know, in this 30-day challenge, I'm giving you 6 days a week of exercise. Some of the days are only like 20 minutes, but still you're diving head first in when it comes to this because it's only 30 days. If something happens where you sleep in accidentally one day or you don't get your exercise in, don't quit. I wrote this knowing full well that for most people, there is going to be a couple activities here and there they're not going to do. That's totally fine. That's totally fine. The places where we stumble and fall and we mess up are usually where we learn the most. So do not judge yourself too harshly if you miss your exercise that day. Or you miss, going to bed before 10 o'clock that day. Like, this is all an experiment for you to see, like, as the whole back to the beginning of, oh, that's interesting. I accidentally didn't exercise today. Huh. That's why I feel a little sluggish. Interesting. I'm going to write this down and note this. This is your own. The challenge is just a tool. When the challenge is over, you can throw it away. You are the one that's valuable. You are the subject, not the challenge. It's just a template. That's all it is. It's all it is. And the last challenge I have you do, I'll go ahead. Some spoiler alerts. The last challenge I have you do on the November 30th, the last day, is for you to write your own schedule for December of exercise.
Awesome.
And with Thanksgiving, guys, I do have Thanksgiving entered into this. For the Americans, I'm gonna show you how to be flexible with holidays. I even invite our European, Asian, African friends joining us. I say, you know what? Thursday, November, whatever it is, that's Thanksgiving. Go invite some friends out for dinner. Because I want you guys to understand too, like being human beings, yes, we have a schedule we follow for the most part, but being human is also learning to be flexible. And Thanksgiving is a time of fellowship and friendship. If you're not an American, again, invite friends out to dinner, invite them over to your house for dinner, have a couple of glasses of wine and have that fellowship. And if you go to bed past 10 o'clock, I think I even wrote, let me look, I think I even wrote about food hangovers. It's fine. It's It's total. Let's see here. Where is Thanksgiving's? Thanksgiving's, I think it's the 24th this year. For the non-Americans, Thanksgiving always falls on the last Thursday of November. Okay. So happy Thanksgiving. This day, like many holidays, might require you to get up extra early to get your workout in and journaling in. So that's another exercise. Like holidays for me, I have to get up even earlier to get this in for me. Please know that many people across the country are joining you at dark 30. We say that in Ashtanga yoga, that we get up at dark 30 to do their workout to keep themselves sane for the holiday. If you've never gotten up early on a holiday to exercise, then this will be a new experience and challenge for you. I ask that you try to heal real hard not to skip your workout this morning. Today we'll have less challenges due to the holiday, but your exercise is top priority, not just for your sanity, but also for your digestive system, right? Make your bed up. All right. And I say today you might have to eat later than 7 p.m. because one of the challenges is to not snack at night. That's okay. It's a holiday. Be flexible with this one today. Enjoy feasting with your loved ones. And so I give you some options for exercise. And no food journal today due to the holiday, unless you're not an American and you want to continue the food journal. And I say you might stay up later than 10 p.m. tonight. And that's okay. Allow yourself to have fellowship and community with friends and family. Tomorrow you can observe how this day affected you. And so that Friday, I say you might feel a little hungover today from the food and maybe from the alcohol. Alcohol is not something I've addressed in this challenge, as this is something that is on a person by person basis. It can be used in moderation. You know, if you're not someone that struggles with alcoholism, I'm not going to touch that with you. That's personal issues. It's up to each individual to figure out what works for him or her with alcohol. However, food can definitely cause a hangover.
Yes,
Especially, absolutely, especially if you're eating foods that you're not used to eating on a daily basis. This is not something to be upset about if this is something you only experience the day after a holiday. Getting more in touch with your body will also make you more aware of how your body is reacting to the food. Today, we are going to work with this to help you explore this more. All right. And so I say this, if you're feeling bloated or hungover from food, do not do yoga today. With an impacted colon, you can bruise your internal organs. Instead, do the 45-minute bar, 45-minute kickboxing to help flush yourself from the day before. And I say if you're absolutely too hungover to exercise, you can switch out today's exercise challenge with tomorrow, making today your rest day. Okay? So that's going to be up to you. If you feel like you're too gone, then I usually rest the day after a holiday because I'm so, when I Thanksgiving or Christmas, like I'm taking in so much food and alcohol that I don't normally take in, and I'm enjoying my time and I stay up late, that I always give myself the day after just to rest. Okay. And so I don't want people, and then we have the meditation with Emmie. We've got a lot of links with Emmie's Reiki. So if you need to switch it out for the Saturday, you just switch it out. The exercise, no big deal. And of course, again, this comes at the very end of the challenge. So you'll probably feel more confident making those decisions for yourself. At least I hope so. So yeah, let me show you the last challenge I give you. So pull out a calendar for the month of December. For the next 31 days, create your own challenge. Each day, schedule an exercise, meditation, journaling, etc. Feel free to use this challenge as a template, but in your personal December challenge, add something that really scares you. Maybe it's joining a yoga shala or taking Reiki classes to get attuned. Maybe it's going back to school or taking a course to learn something new that you've wanted to learn. Maybe it's starting a YouTube channel, or maybe it's picking up the phone and calling someone you need to make amends with. It's all you to you. You have the power to create this. You've had the power all along. And that's the main thing I want you to learn from this challenge, is that you've had the power all along. You know, I feel like for me, I've been, and I added Marnie Alton's closing quote here. And remember, on those hard days, as Marnie Alton says, reach down and feel the earth. And remember, always makes me emotional. She will always be there to catch you when you fall. Mother Earth will always be there to catch you when you fall. And you have had that power all along. And I had a lot of people thanking me for taking the time to creating this challenge. And it's really my pleasure. You know, I've been so blessed in my life to have so many incredible teachers myself, and being able to spend so much time in India and really dive deep into this ancient study. And so I feel like that is what I can do to help the world right now. It's just to help you with and taking in the modern exercises like kickboxing. I don't think the ancients were doing kickboxing in bar or sweating to the oldies, but with my understanding of energetic body, I know how to replace that for you guys if you don't have yoga around. And And so that is my gift to you guys. And as I keep telling people, like, I'm just your tech support during this. Emmie, Stephanie, Shanti, and Mornay, Catherine, all of us that are supporters are promoting this challenge. We're just tech support. We're the backup dancers. You're the star. You're the one doing this. Okay. I should have added in for the bonus, maybe I know a lot of people will like sign up for a road race. They'll train for a 5K or a 10K. Maybe that's something that you maybe never thought you could do. But towards the end of this challenge, maybe you'll realize it's the beautiful thing. We say that in Ashtanga, that's the magic of Mysore. It's like something that seems impossible all of a sudden starts to become possible. And that's magical. When you think, how many of you sitting right there thought, oh, I could never run a 5K or I could never run a 10K? Well, what if through the course of this challenge, you realize maybe you can?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe at the end of November, that's what you start training for. And you look up training modalities to do a 5K or a 10K. You take that power and you explore that yourself. And I was going to ask, and Emmie, what do you think about this? I kind of wanted to see how this challenge goes because, of course, I got tears and snot on my laptop, guys. So I apologize. I had to just wipe that off. After the holidays, after Christmas, I'm kind of thinking about doing a 60-day challenge for the group. So we'll see how the 30-day challenge, that will look a little bit different because it'll be 60 days, not 30. So things will be a little bit more spread out. But I guess I can't really ask for people to let me know in the comment section yet because we got to see how the 30-day challenge goes first.
I'm down. I'm doing this.
Yeah, can't put the horse in front of the cart. So we gotta I can't cart for the horse. I put the horse front. So I am thinking about doing a 60-day challenge in January and February as well. And that will be, if you do the 30-day challenge and you want to do the 60-day challenge, great. But for the month of December, that's all you, boo. And I believe in you. Once you start figuring out what you can do, you take that power back. And I just want to how many people out there now, I've never had a weight issue. I've never been the fat kid, anything like that. But I hear this story all the time. How many people out there through this challenge were always the kid that was made fun of because they were overweight. They were never picked from the sports teams, all that kind of stuff. I'm so excited to hear those stories for you to realize actually, you are the athlete. Mm-hmm. You actually have this in you. You have the exact same muscles. You have the exact same tendons and ligaments in your body than the Olympiads do.
Yes, this is amazing, Brice. I'm so impressed.
I can't tell you. I thought we were going to get 10, 15 people sign up for this. Over 200 people. You guys, I started sending emails out last night because all of a sudden I was like, I got to start sending them out because there's so many people. I got up and then I woke up at 3 o'clock this morning and I was like, I got to go back. So I sat up in the kitchen at 3 a.m. and I was sending templates out to people because I'm floored away. I'm floored away. And I know I talked to Mornay and Shanti offline, so we haven't finalized this, but what we're thinking about doing is when the challenge is over, having all of us who hosted it on a panel and then dropping a link into the chat box, a live show, allowing anybody who does the challenge, if they want to come on and talk about their experience, can just click the link and come on in and talk about their experience. So, oh
yeah, that'd be great.
I know. And I want people, and I also got to propose to you guys too, before we sign off. I've been really thinking about how to create a support system for everybody doing the challenge. I've been really thinking about how to do this. Now, I know for a fact that there is a particular YouTuber out there in the truther community who is evil. I know for a fact now that this particular YouTuber purchased from a troll farm bots. And these bots were sent out to threaten me, threaten my family. Hence why I had to close most of my social media down. I know they're bots. I know it's a troll farm. However, that's extremely dangerous. And I was thinking about opening up a Telegram channel that's private just for people doing the challenge to be able to talk to each other and support each other. However, I'm terrified of the bots. I'm terrified of this particular person derailing it. I don't know if I personally would be able to moderate that channel because of my schedule. And if there are people watching that would want to be the moderator, that would want to take that into their hands and moderate the channel, I would be interested in handing that over to you and letting you do that for everyone doing the shadow work challenge, just to make sure that there are no bots, that there's no threats in that group. What do you think, Emmie? Do you think that's
I think that's a great idea.
okay?
Yeah.
So if you're interested, because I just want to put, I want to be very forthcoming and open with you guys, because if you want to be the moderator, I don't want you to have to get into something that's in over your head, where all of a sudden you've got these bots threatening in the chat. And so maybe I could pick like 2 or 3 people to help each other in case there's any type of threats going on or anything like that. Just so people would have an access point to contact each other and vent and support each other.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Okay, cool. So people watching, let me know if you want to be those moderators. I will let you handle that. Because again, I would feel terrible if I was not able to check it because I was researching or filming or whatever, and a bot got in and was terrorizing someone. Like, I would feel terrible about that. So if someone has the time and the availability to like whack a troll, if someone comes in and just boot them, then I would hand the reins over to you so that everybody else could have a supporting and loving platform to be able to talk themselves through. We're all just walking each other home, guys. This is what I mean when I say it. So anyway, Emmie, is there any last words?
Not that I can think. I'm really excited. This is awesome. How many people are? This is awesome.
I'm gonna try like every day during the challenge to post at least like a 5-minute video just to encourage people to, how's it going? How you can also chat in the comment section too. But I'm gonna say this, I put this in the challenge, one of my favorite quotes. You didn't come this far to only come this far.
That's a good one.
So the fact that you guys sent me emails, that was the first step. So I'm so excited, guys. I know Steph's excited. We're all like super excited about this. We are the storm. You are lightning in a bottle. And you're
nothing changes if nothing changes.
Exactly. Exactly. What is a rut? A rut is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again.
It's also insanity.
Exactly. This might be the whole turning point for a lot of people. And I can't, through the pain that's going to come out of this, through the tears that's going to come out of this, the anger, what I'm most excited about is the light that's also going to come out of this. And I'll say again, I always use it, that match, everything that match needs to light the light is in it. It comes that way. But that light is never going to light unless that friction happens of striking that match. You're the match. Everything you need to shine that light, you have already. All you're missing is that friction. And once you strike that match, that light is there.
Amen, sister.
All right, guys, we love you. Signing out from the Victoria Ghost Children. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye, guys.
All right, bye.